Honestly, I was joking because I've never heard you say that before.
Yeah.
So it's a surprise. It's a surprise to me.
Well, I think that's highly bullish for the longer
Mhm.
term for the likes of Bitcoin.
All right, guys. Hello and welcome. We're joined here today with our good friend and trader Charlie Burton. As you can see here, is with us. Charlie, thanks very much indeed for joining me in this session. And essentially, guys, in this video, Charlie and I are going to be talking about Bitcoin. We'll take Charlie's take on the Bitcoin charts. What does he think of what's going on here? Technical picture. Is he bullish or is he bearish? What's his view? And does he have any specific targets in mind as well? Should be quite interesting. So join us. All right, guys, welcome back. Charlie, thanks very much indeed for joining me in this session.
No, thanks for having me
And
on, as always. So, yeah, looking forward to just having a little chat about the markets.
yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm going to take a look at more of the longer term picture. You know, a number of bearish signals occurred on the stock markets. So far, Bitcoin has been holding its own. The technical picture at the moment, as we're recording this video, the technical picture looks rather strong, but I'm interested to see what you think. By the way, before we continue, let me say that I should also mention this. Guys, make sure you check out Charlie Burton's gold level membership. We'll talk about it towards the end as well, but make sure you check out Charlie Burton's gold level membership with a discount, which will drop his membership down to £1, like $1.20 for 30 days. The link is in the description. We'll cover that at the end of the video. I guess before we go on to your charts, are there any things you want to say before we look at the charts?
Well, you've asked me my views on Bitcoin in the past, and
Yeah.
and we've joked about, last year, wasn't it? And no, Bitcoin's not going to go up to new highs, and and earlier this year we've talked about it again. But as we were talking about big picture views, you might actually get a little bit of a different view from me
Oh.
during this chat. So
So your view is going to be Bitcoin's going to go towards all-time highs. Let's get
yeah,
going, guys. Yeah. Oh, that is
yeah.
it. Oh, okay.
Not necessarily right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You've asked for my big picture view,
I
and
honestly, I was joking because I've never heard you say that before.
yeah,
So it's a surprise. It's a surprise to me.
well, I think developments of what's happened is that we've seen some of these big players like BlackRock, etc.,
Yeah.
lodge applications with the SEC to launch spot Bitcoin ETFs. Now, if the expectation is they probably will get approved at some point next year. So, and if they do get approved, do you imagine an ETF, a Bitcoin ETF, and you've got mum and pop America who've never found it very easy to invest into cryptocurrencies before? The pure ease and of access to just buy an ETF, with putting it within your 401k or whatever. And that's just within the US. Obviously,
Yeah.
that's a global ETF. Anyone can access it. So from a demand perspective, it doesn't matter what goes on if there's a larger bear market, coming in the stock market in the nearer term. But from a larger perspective, and that's what I'm going to
Hmm.
talk about here a little bit today, is that I think that's highly bullish for the longer
Hmm.
term for the likes of Bitcoin. So
I
yeah,
understand.
yeah,
Mhm.
I do.
Thanks, Charlie. Let's dig into your charts.
I bought something different up for you.
Great.
So this is a weekly time frame of Bitcoin, and what I wanted to do is just for a bit of fun, really, is to take the
Yeah.
2013 highs, measured it up to the 2017 highs,
Yeah.
and we had something like roughly a 1500% move.
Hmm.
Okay. And then from the 2017 highs to the 2021 highs,
Hmm.
we had a 250% move. Okay, so the exponential nature of things is that you're not necessarily going to see 1500% moves all of the time, of course.
Yeah.
And so if going forwards, just based on these assumptions, and there's some more going back as well, the going into the future, if and that was a 5-year move. Each one of those was about 5-year peak to peak. So based on that, so peak to peak, we'd be looking at around about late 2025.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah,
Okay.
from there, or 20, or maybe 2026. So if that's the case, if we got a 4 or 5 year move in total, then in 25, 26, and bearing in mind that the rate of ascent is reducing. So that one was around about this, from here to here was where you can see from 1,500% down to 250%. So if it was to reduce at that same rate, so around about by about a fifth, then we would see roughly a fifth of 250% would be an increase of, let's say, 50% for the next move, let's say. So a 50% increase on that high of, what was it, around about $69,000, let's say. So it put us just north of 100,000 as a projection at some point in the next
Interesting.
2 years or so.
One question often people ask me, Charlie, when you show your charts, sometimes people ask, how come you don't use a logarithmic chart? Is that because you just prefer the standard linear charts?
Yeah, I mean, I can put it on a log chart if you want. There you go.
Okay.
If you want to see a log chart. Log charts are better if you are looking at a bigger picture here and you're trying to squeeze it all in, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah. So yes.
One thing I should mention here is that in the member videos, we've mentioned over and over again that the sideways movement, the drop, in other words, the movement in the Bitcoin chart for the last several months, going back to the spring, has been an ABC correction. That's been my view. And it still is my view as long as we stay above 26K. And I think what you're saying is that it's quite likely that this bull market, that in other words, I think what you're saying is you're quite bullish and you're thinking that bulls could push Bitcoin much higher towards all-time highs.
Hi, this is Alessio. I'm just going to interrupt this video for a moment just to mention that while I respect my friend and trader Charlie Burton's opinion about Bitcoin going towards all-time highs, let me say that I do not share this opinion. This is not my view. In fact, I disagree with Charlie respectfully on this point of view. And the reason is that for me, the stock market needs to confirm the action on Bitcoin before I can say that Bitcoin is going to go towards all-time highs. So if you haven't seen my previous video on the stock market, make sure you go ahead and see that. Because as I mentioned, as long as the stock market stays below resistance, and I mentioned where the resistance level is, then I cannot come on board with the view that Bitcoin is going to go towards all-time highs. Although it's probable that Bitcoin could go towards, for example, 40K. That's possible and probable. All I'm saying is that as long as the stock market stays below its key resistance level and stays at the moment in a downtrend, then I cannot come on board with the idea of Bitcoin going towards all-time highs. I personally need confirmation from the stock market. All right, guys, that's my view. Let's get back to the video.
And you're saying that it could reach all-time highs, 69K and above next year, did you say? Sorry, 2025, you said.
Yeah, sort of 2025. It's not, yeah. So I'm not like a mega bull right now. I'm just talking about over the next 2 years or so, 2 to 3 years. Then yeah, it depends on, like I've said, if the SEC, I think Bitcoin's going to need something like that, the SEC approving a spot Bitcoin ETF in order to create that new wave of demand. But if that does happen, then the potential then over the next couple of years or so to, firstly, for Bitcoin to get back to its all-time highs, and then to have a crack for that big magic 100K level, certainly it's there because it just opens up Bitcoin to a wider audience.
Yeah, I mean, I said in my last video that Bitcoin has remained resolute. It stayed above its trend line. It has not dropped below support levels. Like the stock market has dropped below key support, but Bitcoin has not done that, which is a good sign. So Bitcoin at the moment is remaining positive as we're making this video. But I think as long as Bitcoin stays above 26K, things are looking bright. Things are looking good for Bitcoin at the moment, and we might push higher to the next targets. Let's go back to the chart of Bitcoin again. And
yes, the only thing to add here for me on Bitcoin, I would have liked, I must admit, would in the near term, and I think anything can happen in the near term. This is a weekly time frame here. Is it didn't quite get down to its weekly 50 down here, the weekly 50 moving average. Okay. Very often you like to see retests of key moving averages like that. So I would have liked to have seen that. So I'm not writing off a move back down into this zone. And I think even if it does come in down to this zone, I think, I was hoping it was actually going to overshoot the 50 and come down to sort of, 21 to 23 zone. But yeah, that's a longer term view there for Bitcoin. But yes, in the near term, I agree with you. If it comes off, then as you've been quite rightly saying, that Bitcoin, if Bitcoin starts to move in sync with the stock markets, and they're all ifs and buts really, whether if the stock market is going to carry on coming that much lower, then could that act as a suppressant to other asset classes like Bitcoin. We'll have to see. But certainly over this past week, it was interesting because those correlations are not there currently. Bitcoin held up rather well, even as the stock market declined.
Thanks very much indeed, Charlie. By the way, guys, make sure you check out Charlie Burton's service. I highly recommend it. It's actually by far one of the best trading services out there, and it's by my good friend Charlie Burton, who I've known now for nearly 15 years, and he's also one of the best people in this field, both in chart analysis and also in trading. Do check it out on the link, which I'll put for you in the description. That's charlieburtontrading.com/LT Gold. Make sure you also apply the promo code, which I think is also LT Gold. That will drop the price down to £1, £1 British, which is about $1.20 approximately. And that's for 30 days. You can try it out, his service. And by the way, that also includes access to Charlie Burton's trading room. Am I correct, Charlie?
Yeah. That's where I'm. 5 days a week. I'm in there doing live training sessions. Doesn't matter where you are in the world because they're all recorded anyway. So we're trading. Although it's all very well me calling what I'm doing, but essentially my members, it's all about them improving their skills over the years. And I've got members who have been with me for over 15 years. So it's all about that learning for them as well.
Absolutely. And let me say again that I would only even suggest Charlie's service because I trust it, because I think it's one of the best services out there. So do check it out. Again, I'll put the link for the description, charlieburtontrading.com/LT Gold. Please don't forget to apply the promo code. Very important, drop down the price for you for the first 30 days to only £1, which is about $1.20. Again, the promo code LT Gold, which I'll put for you there as well. Thank you very much, Charlie. So look forward to seeing this soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me on as always.